I for terminal count.
Overlook Horizon High Altitude Balloons, an Ontario County nonprofit.
This is no ordinary balloon.
What a view!
Over 110,000 feet.
This is incredible.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Hey guys, Tori here from Overlook Horizon, coming to you live here today on a Monday night for huge excitement here in the SpaceX world. We've got a SpaceX BFR announcement coming tonight for their upcoming moon mission. I say upcoming, we don't really know when that's going to happen. I don't expect that anytime soon. It's not like it's happening next month. But some huge announcements today for the BFR moon mission. We should find out who the first passenger is for this BFR moon mission. Now, BFR is the Big Falcon Rocket, or the Big Effing Rocket, however you want to interpret that, and also the BFS, which is the Big Falcon spaceship, or the Big Effing spaceship, whatever you want to call it, which is the new rocket under development by SpaceX that has yet to launch. It's expected to start doing some test flights, some hops, as early as 2019. And so today is hopefully a really exciting announcement, and I'm just really hoping that my technology is going to work throughout this whole thing, because as I was setting up for this broadcast, I was struggling so much with my streaming software. It was just fighting me. So hopefully this works out well here for tonight. And we also got some thunderstorms happening. Audio is pretty deafening, says Andy Lee. Oh, sorry. Maybe I'm just excited. I'm super excited. Let's turn it down a little bit. I could turn my turn it down a little bit so I don't overmodulate a little bit. But I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody. I'm excited to hear this announcement. I'm excited to hear what they're going to say here tonight. It's a 1 hour event that they have planned. So I'm not sure if this is if this whole thing is going to be a 1 hour event as far as the streaming and what we're going to be able to see. But it is scheduled as a 1 hour press event, which is pretty awesome, because you think about it, a 1 hour press event. I mean, they got to fill a lot into this here. So, it's not like they're going to bring out this passenger and be like, here he is, see ya. They're going to be, we're talking hopefully updates on the BFR platform and, what is actually going to be happening with this. So they put out, let's dive right into it. So we have about 27 minutes until the SpaceX announcement starts. So when the SpaceX announcement starts, I will have, and we'll full screen it here. I'm keeping an eye on it, just so you know. But over my shoulder here, this is the SpaceX broadcast. We'll switch that on. We'll make it full screen so everybody can see. And I'll probably try to just shut up in the middle of it, so that I'm not talking over everybody. Because I want to listen and I want to hear what they actually have to say as well, because I'm pretty excited. As if you can't tell, I'm pumped. I'm amped. I'm going nuts here. So not to mention, this is like the first SpaceX broadcast that I've gotten to do during normal daylight hours. So yeah, the BFS and the BFR, there's definitely still a lot of development to go. Gregorius correctly points that out on our YouTube stream here. So it's not like we're going to see this. We're not going to be seeing Mars missions tomorrow or next month, or probably not even next year, because I would expect, and this is complete speculation, I'm just guessing, that we'll see some test flights or some of these hops maybe towards the end of 2019, and I don't think you're really going to see any huge developments as far as like flights happening until 2020. That's just a guess. Elon always puts out some really ambitious timelines, so I'm excited to see what he puts out here for timelines. And they just, and I just saw Gregorius commented again here. They just changed the design. We don't necessarily know how long ago they changed the design, but they did put out some new renderings of the rocket and the BFS ship here. That are a lot different than they are before. So a lot of things being speculated here. Some of them have been confirmed by by Elon on Twitter, but we're talking a new engine configuration, which is clear just from looking at it. So originally they had 4 vacuum engines and 3 surfaced engines. Now, based on this rendering here, there's 7 vacuum engines that are running in this rendering. So I'd like to think that those are 7 vacuum rated engines that they're going to be using. Was it just that they just turned them all on for the rendering because it looked cool? Who knows? We're going to find out. But we're also talking about, and Elon's I believe he confirmed with the fins there that on the back. Well, one, we have a third fin on the back that wasn't in previous renderings. They only had 2 fins, and now he said that they're going to have foldable wings or retractable fins there that are hinged, and I don't know if that's confirmed on the retractable ones. We'll have to see if there's been so many rumors out there, it's been hard for me to keep track of what's rumor and what's confirmed. One thing he did say is that there's potentially landing gear in the retractable landing gear that's actually in the fins. So that's another development there that we'll hopefully see today. And then there's also these canards or these flight surfaces. And I think I have another, let's see, I got another view here that you may see it better. So these are all from SpaceX. Right up towards the nose, you've got these flight surfaces, these control surfaces or canards that are presumably going to be used for aerodynamic control. Possibly, maybe that those are there for the atmosphere of Mars. If they're coming in and they want to try to bleed off some speed, slow the thing down aerodynamically, they might be able to use the wings for that. They might be able to use the canards for that. Maybe the canards are there to control it, to flip it in the right orientation for landing on Mars or something like that. Or maybe it's for landing on the Earth. Who knows? We're going to find out. One thing he did say, it's not in the rendering, but the first stage will still have grid fins, but those aren't in the rendering. So the first stage is pretty much going to be similar, completely different design, but similar concept to the Falcon 9 first stage, where it's going to launch and come back and land and be recovered. The BFR rocket is a lot larger than the Falcon 9. I've seen some calculations on Reddit, and some have said that the BFR will fit on the existing drone ships, like Of Course I Still Love You, or Just Read the Instructions, but we'll have to see. I would think that they'd have to build new drone ships that are bigger that'll incorporate those. They've also, and whether or not they even land on a drone ship is still yet to be seen too, because they've been talking about landing these on platforms that are like outside of, if they wanted to send some of these Earth-to-Earth missions. So one of the things they've been talking about with the BFR and the BFS has been to be able to do Earth-to-Earth flights, meaning it's basically like a commercial airplane at that point, except rocket style. You get on in New York City, you fly to Australia, and it takes you 30 minutes to get there. And instead of sitting on a plane for hours and hours and hours, now you jump on a rocket and go from New York to Australia. So those are those Earth-to-Earth missions. But in order to do that, rockets are so loud and kind of dangerous. You can't just throw a rocket pad at JFK Airport and be like, yeah, we're taking off now. So they're talking about putting these platforms out in out in the ocean, where they would ferry you out to the platform. You jump on the rocket, hop in, strap in, happy day. You're up in the air and you're going to space and to Australia or wherever you're going. So maybe some platforms. Who knows? I don't know what we're gonna hear tonight, but I'm super. I've said it already. I'm super excited. I was about to say it again, but I guess I will say it again. So let's see. A bunch of comments flying in here. Let's see. Next launch window for Mars is September 2020. See, I feel like if they play their cards right, they could potentially launch to Mars in July 2020. Maybe a demo mission. That would be crazy. That'd be exciting. But I think before they launch, I don't know, this is just my feeling. I have absolutely nothing to back this up, but my feeling is that it's going to be like 2022 or plus before you actually see a Mars mission out of the BFR rocket. But who knows? We'll see. Gregoria says this rocket needs more struts. Is that a reference to my Kerbal playing yesterday? All the struts that I threw on my failed rocket attempt. I thought that would work. I thought it was a good idea. Anyway, so it is kind of interesting, that SpaceX has added all these extra fins. Elon has always said that he's not a fan of wings. So now that there's 3 of these fins on there, or wings, and they're potentially foldable or retractable, it'll be interesting to see what they have there. And then also to note is that this press conference is in the SpaceX assembly factory. So could we see hardware today? Maybe they have some hardware completed. Who knows? They've got a huge tarp up that's kind of like the outline of the BFR rocket, or the BFS rocket. Really, it's like the outline of the engines there. But this is in the SpaceX like assembly factory there on the ground floor. So maybe we'll see some hardware. That would be pretty exciting, right? May actually see some completed hardware for it. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Let's see. What else was I going to say? We may hear more about their engines, potentially the Raptor engines, which are some of the first that are going to be powered, that are supposed to be powered by methane. So instead of using the RP1, the rocket grade kerosene propellant, or the hydrogen propellant that's used on like the Delta IV rockets. This is supposed to be a methane engine, which is also Blue Origin's also developing a methane engine. So maybe we'll see. Maybe we got completed engines or something. I don't know. I have no idea. Does anybody have any speculation? I got lots of speculation. I've been bouncing off the walls here all day waiting for this. I've been excited. So let's see. What surprised me to see him build small man-made islands all over the place. Yeah, it could be. Maybe some man-made islands to actually land and take these off from. Let's see. This rocket needs more struts. I read that already. All those dirt from the boring company needs to go somewhere. Yeah, right. There you go. The boring company's building all those tunnels. They got to take the dirt somewhere. Matt thinks that John Travolta's going to the moon. It seems to be, Elon pointed out or tweeted out a picture of a Japanese flag on Twitter. So it seems like this is a Japanese citizen or somebody from Japan that is going to be the first customer to go on this around the moon trip. Obviously not confirmed, but Everyday Astronaut tweeted on Twitter that said he actually saw the VIP, and he was a Japanese man. So it sounds like it's somebody from Japan that is going to be this first passenger. We'll find out in about 15 minutes here whether or not that holds true. Alex Ziggyful says, he hopes Travolta stays there and narrates the mission. Let's see. Yeah, so Sebi Time Waster is talking about, let me answer Flimflam. I love that name. Flimflam. What says, when does it start? Oh, the announcement's going to start in about 16 minutes. So we got 16 minutes until the announcement here. I could probably even, look at, see, I got technology here at my fingertips. I could throw up, let's see, watch this. I can throw up a clock here maybe. And here, we'll put this over here like this, and then I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. There we go. So there's the countdown. That's our countdown to the announcement, the start of the press conference here. So it's supposed to start at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Pacific time. It is out on the West Coast, so 6 o'clock Pacific time is pretty normal time for them. Getting a little bit late for us here on the East Coast, but 72 Galaxy Tank Girl says it's the person that invented Bitcoins. And Gregoria says, yeah, speculation that it's the Japanese Bitcoin billionaire. So that it's going to be somebody that needs a lot of money. That's another question about the BFR is who's funding this. A lot of people have speculated that the BFR is going to cost to do a moon mission, it would cost somewhere in the range of like $5 billion to do a moon mission and back, just to fly around the moon and come back. And so then the question is like, is a private person going to pay $5 billion? Are two people going to pay $2.5 billion a piece? Or are they using some of the research funds that they get from NASA to fund that? Well, looks like the SpaceX broadcast has turned on here. Nothing's happening yet, but it's good. Seems like it's happening. And SpaceX just tweeted too. SpaceX was founded under the belief that a future where humanity is out exploring the stars is fundamentally more exciting than one where we are not. Webcast goes live in 15 minutes. So that was just tweeted out by SpaceX. So let's take a look while we're sitting here speculating, waiting for this to get started. I do have a couple other images here. Let me mute that in my ear because it's kind of loud. And this is where I really hope that my broadcast doesn't crash. If for some reason my broadcast does crash, I will just start the live over again. But this is, I was trying to get these pictures up for people to be able to see, because we did have, here's another one of the new renderings here that kind of shows the three fins a little bit better. You can also see the first stage as well. And then the SpaceX broadcast, you see it starting there above me. We'll come back to that. We'll full screen it in a little while. But, okay, so somebody else mentioned, so the BFR really is that bottom portion. It's the rocket, the first ship. The BFS is the top portion, the actual ship where you have, that's where you're going to have cargo or passengers, the payload, so to speak. So the BFS, originally, this is kind of an old image, but it was put out. Something like this is one of the original images here. This is not something recent, so it has since been changed, because now we have more than just the delta wing there. It seems like we have 3 fins on there, but it gives you an idea. You got your propellant tanks, your engines in the back. That has changed as well, it sounds like. And then if you can look behind me, this is the payload area, the passenger compartment, cargo and passengers and all that stuff, which is pretty huge. So let's see. And then what else do we got that I wanted to show? I did want to show this cutout here. This is also a pretty older image here as well, that kind of gives a little cutout view of what this was originally intended to look like. So engines have changed, but I imagine the general setup is still about the same here. But you can kind of see the crew passenger compartment here if I just lean over to the side like this. So that's kind of a cutaway as well. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing messages here. Andy Lee Robinson said, if I had $10 billion to spare, I'd certainly chip in $5 billion to go around the moon. Yeah, well, I guess if you got $10 billion sitting around, then what's $5 billion? Just throw it in there. Let's see. Why BFR and not Dragon 2? Yeah, I think it was just, I think Gregorius kind of mentions it. I think it's a little bit of Elon's sense of humor. I think he likes that it's the Big Falcon Rocket or the Big effing Rocket. So let's see. What if the moon trip footage will be included in a new movie? Potentially, maybe a movie deal. Maybe somebody sponsoring it. Okay, you meant literal sense boring. Yeah, boring is the Boring Company is the literal sense boring, like digging tunnels. That's one of his other companies, Tesla, Boring, and SpaceX. You would think they'd send more and make more money. Yeah, more people, I assume, is what you're talking about, instead of just 2 people. Or maybe, see, I don't know. Originally, they had talked about sending 2 people on the Falcon Heavy around the moon. They said last year that they were going to scrap that idea and just go with the BFR development. Sorry, I wanted to switch backgrounds so you can still see the timer. So they were going to just focus on BFR development and not worry about the Falcon Heavy going around the moon and trying to get that, that whole thing human rated. So it sounds like they're going to focus on the BFR. And originally there were 2 passengers that were going to go around the moon there. So do we have 2 passengers happening here? We'll have to we're gonna have to see what they say here. Let's see, what else is everybody saying? I was gonna place. This sounds like it's gonna be interesting. This is gonna be interesting. I would stick around. This is gonna be exciting. Yeah, BFR is the rocket. Let's see. I hear they're interested in your designs from yesterday, says Alex. Yeah, I got a call. They said they want me to design a rocket. So based on my Kerbal playing yesterday, especially my Flex ship, they love that. I'm going to design the rocket now. It's probably a terrible idea. Just needs more struts, right? Who said? I don't remember who said that earlier. Needs more struts. Let's see. Dragon 2 is strapped on a regular Falcon. Right. The Dragon 2 or the Crew Dragon or the Dragon 2, that's what's going to be strapped. That's the capsule that's going on top of the Falcon 9 to ferry astronauts to the space station and low Earth orbit. The BFR and the BFS is supposed to be beyond Earth orbit. The BFS is the cargo passenger compartment. That's the spaceship on top, the Big Falcon spaceship on top. The BFR is the rocket part, which is the lower portion of this image here that you're seeing. So, always figured Dragon was too small for a trip around the moon. Actually, the Dragon looks, especially the Crew Dragon, looks pretty spacious. So if you've seen some of the pictures on the inside, the Crew Dragon looks pretty spacious, especially if you compare it to like the Gemini days or the Mercury days or even the Apollo days. The Crew Dragon looks like there's a lot of room in there. It looks pretty comfy. Isn't SpaceX restricted by who they can allow on their spacecraft? Didn't they say only Americans would be going to Mars with SpaceX? I don't know. I have not heard that. I see SpaceX is a private company. I don't imagine they would limit them to just Americans. Although you do have ITAR regulations that do restrict like who can work on certain types of rocket technology and who can be privy to rocket technology information. So potentially there could be an issue there if somebody's not an American citizen. Like if you have to train them on all these rocket systems, there are ITAR regulations, which I can't pretend to know all the ins and outs of those, but potentially that could be a conflict. But I imagine they would have thought of that. The ITAR regulations, they're pretty strict on all that kind of stuff. So the people that work in the aerospace industry are usually on top of that. Let's see. Those windows are probably solar panels, is what some speculation there. Solar panels possible for powering the BFS. Henry Ja on Periscope says, is escape velocity an issue for something that big? Well, it's just a matter of thrust, and I mean it is big, but it also has a lot of thrust. So you got a lot of potential there for getting enough delta V for escape velocity. So I don't think that's necessarily a big issue. That's generally one of the first things that you're going to consider building this rocket is thrust to weight ratio. So I'm sure they've thought of thrust to weight ratio. Even though it's huge, that just means you need a huge amount of thrust. Let's see. SpaceX will send lobsters to the moon. I think I'm with you, Bruno. They should send a lobster to the moon. Looks like that because of the wide-angle lens. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Do you think they will send a lobster into space, says Alex? Yes, they should send a lobster. If I'm doing it, they could do it. I assume the passenger would have to be trained since there's no pilot. Yeah, they would definitely have to be trained if for nothing else but emergencies. You know, if something shuts down or a system stops working. I mean, it can be completely automated, but you still need a human there if the automation stops working. That's kind of how the Crew Dragon is working. I mean, most of the Crew Dragon is automated, but the crew is still being tested there and they're trained in case something fails and the automation isn't working anymore, or they have to recover from an emergency. Let's see. That's why they have new smaller windows now. Back further, the front ones are now solar panels, says Matt Gixer. So he says the front windows are solar panels. Speculation, he says. So yeah, a lot of speculation about what, do we have new? I didn't even look to see. Let's see. Do I have a rendering of the old? I don't know if I have an outside rendering. The only other one that we didn't look at today was this one. This was the engine configuration. This is the old engine configuration. So this is an old image from one of the previous renderings that they did a long time ago, a couple of years ago. I don't remember when this came out, but this was talking about 4 vacuum engines and 2 sea level engines. They updated that even after this to say 4 vacuum engines and 3 sea level engines. So this has been superseded twice now. Once before this recent announcement, and now most recently it's been superseded by this, well, potentially by this rendering where we're showing 7 engines operating in the vacuum of space. Now, could we be still looking at the same configuration? Maybe it's still 4 vacuum engines and the 3 center engines are surfaced engines that they just lit up for the rendering. Maybe the surface engines are going to use them in atmosphere and in vacuum. That could possibly be as well. So whoever it is, they must already be training because it really isn't far off. Yeah, well, that's the other thing is we don't necessarily know what the timeline is. I mean, they could announce a whole brand new timeline here today with this announcement. So that's one of the things that we're going to look at is what's the timeline? Do they have hardware completed? How far off are they from doing those? They had talked about doing some of those hops, the short hops, the test of the BFS, the spaceship. So they were talking about doing those in 2019. So are they still on track for that? Then Space TV says, how will the BFS land? Does it have a landing gear? Yeah, so I think Elon confirmed this on Twitter, but I'm going to put an asterisk there because I've been trying to keep track of what's speculation and what's truth, and it's been hard to keep track of. But I'm pretty sure Elon confirmed on Twitter that the fins, these on the sides, have a retractable landing gear or landing legs. And I'm pretty sure the original intention was for it to land vertically, and I assume that's still the case, considering that all the engines are on the bottom. So if they're going to do a propulsive landing of any sort, they would need to land vertically, and the landing gear would retract out of those fins there. So that's the intent, or at least that's the speculation, I should say. Well, if it's just the Dragon 2, you don't need that much training, I don't think. Looking at Blue Origin, SOP, Blue Origin only require the passenger to have 1 day of training. Is that true? Is that right? Only 1 day of training, huh? That would be interesting. But Blue Origin is also, at least with their, what is it? The new, I always get New Glenn and New Shepard confused. I forget which one's which, but is the new, I think the New Glenn is the one that they're testing now, the smaller one, the suborbital one. Those are meant for like, space tourism, basically, those suborbital flights. So I could definitely see where Blue Origin might want to say, they might say like, hey, you just need 1 day of training and then we'll throw you up there. This is a much bigger mission, bigger spacecraft. It's not suborbital. It's going to be in orbit where potentially you could be stranded, and if you don't know how to get yourself back. A suborbital flight, you're going to need some training, but it's coming back one way or another. So this, I would think you're going to need a lot more training than a day to fly on the BFS, but who knows? Hopefully they are long enough, unlike your rocket ship yesterday, says Gaming Freak. Yeah, he's talking about the landing legs. Actually, my landing legs yesterday were long enough. It was Saturday that they were not long enough. I learned my lesson already. I fixed the problem, and I got it recovered for Saturday. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just realized my mic is super overmodulated again. Sorry, I've been screaming into the microphone. I'm gonna try not to. You guys gotta give me a heads up if my audio sounds terrible, because I can't listen to myself talk and monitor it while I'm talking. That just doesn't work. So I have no idea how loud it is for you guys. I'm just going by my audio bars there. So hopefully it's not too crazy loud, although I did just notice I was redlining a couple times, so that's what caught my attention. Sebi Time Waster says he hopes he sees an interior video. That would be pretty awesome. I'm hoping we have an interior video as well. I'm just hoping we see some actual completed hardware. I think that's probably the big thing that I'm excited about, is to see completed hardware that is that you can see and touch and feel, or well, maybe somebody can see and touch and feel. Maybe it might not be me, but or it may not even be anybody that's at this press conference, but somebody can see and touch and feel. So we'll see. If SpaceX had a lottery for a seat on the BFS, would people be willing to buy a lottery ticket for, say, $1,000? That's a good question from Space TV. Would you be willing to put? Would you be willing to throw in $1,000 just for a chance? $1,000 doesn't guarantee you a ticket, but for a chance at a lottery on a ticket, I think I might give it a shot. I think I would, if it was a one-time thing, I might throw it in there for a lottery. So let's see. Yeah, it's on Blue Origin's website. T-minus 2 days arrival. T-minus 1 day is training. T-minus 30 minutes is boarding. So that's Gregorius talking about the Blue Origin training procedure. Let's see. Canton Man, thank you for the scope. Yeah, thanks for joining us here, Canton Man. Parachute optional. Can SpaceX create an artificial planetary for bioorganic plants that are clones? There's a lot in that question. I don't know. Just a question, why the moon? Well, I mean, I think it's a couple of things. I think one, it's kind of a demonstration for SpaceX to show off their technology and be like, hey, we've got this rocket and this spaceship now that is capable of more than just low Earth orbit, which is really something we haven't been doing for years as far as human-rated flight has been concerned. I mean, we've been stuck in low Earth orbit for a long time for human-rated flight. So, for SpaceX to be able to show that capability is a big deal. And not only that, but some of the speculation too is we don't know what the timeline is, but this press conference could potentially be an announcement. You know, this announcement is here to generate excitement, maybe more investors, pump some more money and some more cash into the research. So this could all be just a press conference to start pulling in more investors and get people excited, because it is a private company. So that's a possibility as well. So we'll have to look at that kind of afterwards, and we'll see how everything goes. Let's see. $1,000 per person, $1 billion from 1 billion people equals one in a million chance of winning. So from Andy Lee Robinson. So yeah, it's a 1 in a million chance. Well, yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. Let's see. Mr. Frank Booth said he would throw in the $1,000. He's gonna go in on the lottery. He would go for it. The moon is close and awesome, says Canton Man. Yeah, why not go back to the moon? I think it's pretty awesome. Gaming Freak wants to know, where is RCS on it? I have no idea. We can look at maybe a close-up rendering here. I don't know if they actually show it anywhere, but I would imagine you probably have some of the what do they call it? What's the I'm trying to pull up my graphic and talk at the same time, but the little Draco engines. I imagine they probably have a couple of those thrown in along the sides somewhere. So probably pretty easy, I would imagine, to pump those in somewhere along the sides here so that they have reactionary control while they're flying around in space and be able to flip things around, move around, all that kind of stuff. I don't know exactly where it might be, but plenty of room to fit that in. Road Warrior says we got to beat the Chinese. What is RCS? RCS reaction control systems. Let's see. Loyus says hi. Thank you. Thanks, Loyus. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. So we're about. So that's our. Is our time still right? I don't. Where's my time? Oh, now we're counting up. We're past the time. What happened? They didn't start yet. Let me get you. Let's get over to here. Hold on. And get my let me get the broadcast up here. I'm trying to adapt this from my normal launch broadcasts to see. Here, there we go. Hopefully this is. See if this does it here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to turn this down here. So this is where we're at right now, and actually the timer is now counting up because they should be starting any minute. I was just rifling away and firing away at stuff, so I'm going to get rid of that timer. We don't need it anymore because now we're past time. So really, should be starting any minute here. Let's see. The live stream has been running for like 20 minutes now, just on this screen with the music. You can't hear the music. I muted it. But let's see. Andy Lee Robinson says there's 64,000 viewers already on the SpaceX stream. Are you watching the Falcon Heavy launch in October? I absolutely will be watching the Falcon Heavy launch in October. Sewer Gamer says, what is this stream? Well, we are waiting for SpaceX to make a big announcement about who will be the first passenger on board their moon mission on the new BFR rocket. So their announcement was scheduled, their press conference was scheduled to start 6 minutes ago. We are waiting for SpaceX to go live here. The stream is live. We're looking at a live stream. It's just their intro slate here. So we are waiting for that to start, and that Sewer Gamer on Twitch is asking what we're doing here. We're waiting for SpaceX. They should be starting any second, this press conference here, for some exciting news about the BFR moon mission. Let's see. Road Warrior thinks Elon got a case of stage fright. Deborah, good evening from Georgia. Good evening, Deborah, and hello, Joy. Probably hanging out with. Let's see. I did our. Let's see. Are you? Oh, so Gaming Freak asked if I was watching Falcon Heavy in October. I will definitely be watching Falcon Heavy. I think it's moved to November, though. I don't think it's October anymore. I think Falcon Heavy has been moved to no earlier than November, I believe. So I'd be excited if it was. Let me turn my mic down a little bit. I'd be excited if it happened in October, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it got pushed to November for the Air Force payload that will be launching on BFR. So let's see. Did I miss any other? Gregorius talking about RCS, reaction control system. Yeah, they're basically little. Oh, here we go. Let's turn this up. Still music. I don't hear anything yet, but here, there's nothing happening yet. Oh, volume coming up. I see people walking. I'm gonna try to be quiet. Maybe do some whispering, some reactions when this comes up. But you can see the rendering. That's the same rendering that we had up on the TV screens there. And you can see on the left is that's the tarp that I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. So that's the way over there. That's the BFR, like the back side, the engine side of the BFR rocket. And just that, I'm assuming that's to scale. And those are Falcon 9 rockets there. So just look at the size of that BFR or the BFS rocket compared to the Falcon 9. Much bigger. And the Falcon 9 is already pretty big. But the BFS and the BFR are going to be much bigger. Also, random side note, pretty sure that Falcon 9 on the right is a Block 4. So that's kind of interest. What are they doing with a Block 4 there? Could possibly be, they might be using that for the launch abort test for the Dragon capsule. So we'll see what that's all about. I don't think they're going to say anything about that today, but just thought that's a little Easter egg, I suppose. There, this is a Block 4 Falcon 9 right here. At least that's what it looks like to me, because the raceway up here, I can't point that high. My green screen cuts off, but the raceway up at the top is black in a Block 5. But it's white on this block. I think that's a Block 4 there. So it looks like a lot of people waiting here. So he said, how long? I don't have all night. It's starting. They just went live, but they haven't said anything yet. True Cover says, is it going to be a woman? I think from what some of the people have seen, it sounds like it's going to be a Japanese man. that has been the speculation. That's what has people think they have seen the person, but there's been speculation that maybe it's the Japanese Bitcoin billionaire. So that's what we're waiting to see. Who's the guy that wants to travel? Who's the guy that wants to travel on 60 tons of gas? I'd go on a rocket. I wouldn't be the first guy to go on a rocket, but if they get the technology nailed down, I feel like I would do that. Quick Tory, take a snap of the design for your next Kerbal rocket. Yeah, let me get the schematics out, and I'll let me see. I'm gonna draw it and get it like that. Yeah, I think I could build that in Kerbal. Let's see. It looks like a life-size poster on the wall. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be to scale. I think that's the idea. Pretty sure the wings will not be foldable, says Sebi Time Waster. So you had a lot of speculation that the wings will have hinges and they might be foldable. I don't know if that's been confirmed. But if you look at the design over here on the side, the wings have these like hubs there, and it kind of looks like there's a hinge. Only on those two bottom ones. It looks like there's hinges there. The top one, not so much, but the two bottom ones kind of look like they're hinged a little bit. But interesting. And then what are the two things sticking out on the sides? Are those the canards that are like way up at the beginning? Are those supposed to be solar panels? I don't know what those two things are on the side. So that's interesting. Let's see. Canton Man thinks it's the Red Bull CEO. What if SpaceX landed on the moon and found a life form? That would be interesting. I don't think that would happen, but certainly possible. Oh, there we go. I still got no sound. I think this is just the graphic from the TV screens that they're showing there. But there you can see the canards on the front, the wings there. It kind of looks like there's a crease there, like they might hinge. These are some new designs that we haven't seen. So you can see some thrusters being fired there. So there's a little bit of questions answered as to where some of those gas thrusters or reaction control systems might be. Let's see. Canton Man said he won a $10 scratch-off ticket. It's actually him that's going to the moon. Let's see. Are we launching another Tesla into space? Nope, this is not a Tesla going into space. Is this a one-way ticket? No, I believe this person's going to come back. So I don't think this is a one-way ticket here. They're gonna come back. They're just making a lap around the moon, and then they're coming back. So I think this is supposed to be this is a rendering from inside the BFS, looking out those huge windows in the front. This is the rendering we saw earlier with the moon. Matt Gixer says he sees hinges. It did kind of look like there were hinges there. I'm not going to lie. It looked like there were hinges on those. Like right here, you can kind of see a crease. It's harder to see in this one, but right by the base of those wings there, you can kind of see a crease. And the material of the wings kind of looks a little different. Oh, I'm hearing music now. Very faint. I don't know if you guys are hearing it. Let me know, as this gets started, let me know in the comments if the audio is no good. And I'll mess with the audio and make it louder or quieter or whatever you need. I'll try to watch it on my monitor here, but... Nugget says in all honesty, he would not go to space even if they offered it. Oh, here's Elon. All right. Famous Elon jacket.
All right, let's see. Well, can you give me okay? It sounds like you can.
No,
Great.
I can't.
Well, welcome. We're incredibly excited to talk more about the BFR rocket and announce the first private astronaut, first a private citizen that's going to go into deep space. And I'm going to start off with just talking a bit about BFR and kind of how we got to this point. So the purpose of SpaceX, the reason for creating SpaceX was to accelerate the advent of humanity becoming a spacefaring civilization, to help advance rocket technology to the point where we could potentially become a multi-planet species and a true spacefaring civilization. So, as we consider sort of the fossil record, the history of civilization, it's important to bear in mind, like, there could be some natural event or some man-made event that ends civilization as we know it, or in life as we know it. And so it's important that we try to become a multi-planet civilization, extend life beyond Earth, and to do so as quickly as we can. That window of opportunity may be open for a long time, or it may be open for a short time, but we should not assume that it is open for a long time. We should take action and become a multi-planet civilization as soon as possible. And that's kind of like the defensive reason. And I do want to emphasize it's multi-planetary, not single planet, but somewhere else. We want to become a multi-planet civilization, have life on Mars, Moon, maybe Venus, the moons Jupiter, throughout the solar system, and then ultimately extend life beyond the solar system to other star systems. And I think that's the future that's incredibly exciting. I think that's the future that we want. And you know, there's so many things that make people sad or depressed about the future, but I think becoming a spacefaring civilization is one of those things that makes you excited about the future, makes you excited to get up in the morning. Like, this is something that you can look forward to. That makes you glad to be a human being. I hope that people will see it that way. That is the intent of BFR, is to make people excited about the future.
I think people seem pretty excited about SpaceX. They do a pretty good job of getting people excited.
So this is sort of an illustration of what it would be like on Mars base. And I want to talk about it. It will show you, like, this is where we were 10 years ago. So we're almost at the 10th anniversary of SpaceX's first flight to orbit. So that was 2008. Yeah, September 2008. It's the first time we made orbit. And we'd had 3 attempts before that did not succeed. It's hot in here.
Taking off the jacket. Get rid of the jacket now.
So we'd had 3 attempts to reach orbit, and then the fourth attempt reached orbit in September 2008. And if we had not reached orbit on that attempt, the SpaceX would not exist. So that was the fourth and final possibility of reaching orbit. That was a very, very tough launch emotionally. But fortunately, that launch did make it to orbit. And then not long after that, we won our first really major NASA contract, or we won the space station servicing contract, and those were 2 things that were instrumental in SpaceX's success. Then that brings us to where we were earlier this year, which is the launch of Falcon Heavy. So we went from Falcon 1 being just a little rocket that could launch only half a ton to low Earth orbit, and it had no reusability, to Falcon Heavy, which is the most powerful rocket in the world by a factor of 2, with enough payload to orbit capability to put a fully loaded 737 passengers, fuel, and luggage into orbit. And we're able to launch sort of a fun payload, which is, you know, a Tesla Roadster with sort of a Starman mannequin to Mars orbit. So we were able to launch quite a heavy payload to Mars orbit and bring the two side boosters back and land them back at Cape Canaveral. The center core didn't land successfully, but we'll be able to do that, we think, in a subsequent launch. But it is a massive change over the course of 10 years to go from just barely being able to get to orbit to the most powerful launch vehicle in the world by a factor of 2, to have full reusability of the boost stage. We've now done missions where we've launched the boost stage several times, which is quite great. And then we've been able to refly our Dragon spacecraft. So it's an enormous change over the course of 10 years. And I think if you say, like, okay, how many people predicted in 2008 that SpaceX would have done these things by 2018? I think 0. I think 0. Like, I'm not sure it's 0, but I'm not aware of anyone who had made that prediction, including me, by the way. I would have said this is unlikely. Nonetheless, in 10 years, we got from tiny rockets barely making it to orbit to the world's biggest rocket by far, with reusable boost stages and sending a car to Mars. By the way, a lot of people don't understand, like, why we sent a car to Mars. Obviously, that's a bit confusing. Why would you send a car to Mars? That's bizarre. But the real reason was we wanted to just have something that was fun and that people could identify with. And normally when a company creates a new rocket, they just launch like a slab of concrete or something. And I was like, well, that's pretty boring. So we wanted something that was fun and that felt like you could maybe be there. And that was like the reasoning behind the car and the astronaut in the car. It was a tribute to David Bowie and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and a few other things. And there's also the Asimov Foundation series etched in glass in the glove compartment. So that's, in fact, Asimov's Foundation series is a key inspiration for SpaceX. So just an update on BFR itself.
Here we go.
So the design, the production design of BFR is different in some important ways from what I presented about a year ago. Overall, it is 118 meters long. The payload is still similar. It's about 100 metric tons. That's 100 metric tons to, well, actually technically 100 metric tons to all the way to Mars because of orbital refueling or orbital retanking. So BFR is designed to be able to take 100 tons all the way to the surface of Mars, or to any, well, surface of Mars, maybe Ceres, but if you have a propellant depot on Mars, you'll be able to get from Mars to the asteroid belt to the moons of Jupiter, and kind of like planet and moon hop all the way to the outer solar system. So BFR is really intended as an interplanetary transport system that's capable of getting from Earth to anywhere in the solar system as you establish propellant depots along the way. Yeah. So we've increased the payload section to be over 1,000 cubic meters. I think it'll probably end up being something around 1,100 cubic meters. There are forward actuated fins and rear actuated fins. The way that BFR flies is somewhat counterintuitive. If you apply your sort of normal intuition, it will not make sense. I'll try to illustrate that in this presentation. So there's the two forward actuated flaps, and then there are two rear actuated wings or fins or flaps, depending on what. They're not exactly comparable to anything else out there. But you kind of want four control surfaces to be able to control the vehicle through a wide range of atmospheric densities and velocities. So the way it operates is kind of more like a skydiver than an aircraft. Almost the entire time when it's re-entering, it is just trying to brake. It's just trying to stop. So it's doing everything it can to shed velocity while distributing that force over the most amount of surface area possible. So the two of the three rear fins actuate. They're like giant wings. It actually requires an enormous amount of force to move those wings. It's sort of in the meganewton class of force. The third fin or wing-like structure is actually does not actuate, and it is not a vertical stabilizer as it may appear. It is actually just a leg. So during the high velocity portion of entry, it's in the lee of the wind, and it really doesn't have any aerodynamic purpose, and it's really just a leg. It looks the same as the other ones for purposes of symmetry. So this is a true physics simulation of BFR re-entering. So it is mostly just coming in like this. At a very high angle of attack. In fact, one of the things that for the general public is a tricky thing to understand is that orbit means you are zooming around the Earth at a very high speed. It's counterintuitive where people think perhaps once you get to a certain altitude, gravity turns off. This is not the case. In order to go up and stay up, you have to move around the Earth at approximately 25 times the speed of sound. So in fact, the space station is circling the Earth every 90 minutes. This is a very important concept to understand, that orbit is entirely about your speed horizontal to the ground or parallel to the ground. It is going up and staying up the only reason you need altitude at all is to get out of atmospheric drag. So if Earth didn't have an atmosphere, you could orbit 1 meter or like 3.28 feet above the ground, no problem. Well, it'd be a little dodgy, but it's technically possible. So yeah, if you looked at that simulation, it might be worth playing that again, actually. So you can see it's basically coming in, if this is the Earth, if this stage is the Earth, it's coming in like that. And it's just using its entire body to brake. And it sort of goes like that and slows down, and then it falls like a skydiver. And then it rights itself, fires the engine, and lands on the fins. I mean, this will look really epic in person. It looks like guaranteed to be exciting. And you can see it's sort of falling body first for quite a while. And it's really quite gentle. You're just sort of falling at terminal velocity for quite a long time. Very gentle fall, just sort of like floating down. And then it rights itself at the end, fires the engines and lands. It's very counterintuitive. It's not like anything that people are familiar with. It's not like an airplane. Or, yeah. And then obviously, if you're landing on the moon, you don't need any aerodynamic surfaces at all, because there's no air. You just need thrusters. So the next steps with BFR are we're going to build it, or we are building it. This is a picture of the main cylinder section of BFR. So BFR is 9 meters in diameter. It's really quite enormous. You can get a sense of scale. Like that's to scale. So that gives you a sense of the size of the vehicle. Quite enormous. But we're already building it. So we've built the first cylinder section. So that's the first actual cylinder section of the BFR prototype. And we'll be building the domes and the engine section soon. And then this is the Raptor engine. So this is the Raptor engine that will power BFR, both the ship and the booster. It's the same engine. And this is approximately a 200-ton thrust engine that's aiming for roughly 300 bar or 300 atmosphere chamber pressure. And depending upon, if you have it at a high expansion ratio, has the potential to have a specific impulse above 380. But it's a stage combustion, full flow, gas. For those who are interested in technical details, I'm really excited about this engine design. I think the SpaceX propulsion team has done an amazing job on this engine design, and the SpaceX structures and aero. Like really, SpaceX team has done a phenomenal job in design of this. It's like super great. Like, hold on, guys. I mean, but like this is a stupidly hard problem, and SpaceX engineering has, I think, done a great job with this design. It's like I don't think most people, even in the aerospace industry, like know what question to ask. Like it took us a long time to even frame the question correctly. But once we could frame the question correctly, the answer was, I wouldn't say easy, but the answer flowed once the question could be framed with precision. Framing that question with precision was very difficult. Yeah, so this is the trajectory. So we'll take off, have booster separation, go into parking orbits, do a translunar injection, fly around the moon, and then come back and land. Yeah. That should take basically about 4 or 5 days, and be very exciting indeed. We'll do a bunch of test launches without any people on board before having people on board. To be clear, it's going to be very important to test this vehicle thoroughly before putting anyone on board. Yeah, but I can't wait. Like I'm super fired up about this. This is amazing. So, funding BFR is definitely a key question. And that's really where we need to seek every possible means of funding. Obviously, we've got launching of satellites. We've got servicing the space station. So we've been transporting cargo to and from the space station for several years now. And next year we'll start transporting astronauts to and from the space station. We've got the Starlink global broadband system that we're developing, which will also be a key source of revenue. But then private customers or any customers for BFR are incredibly helpful in funding the development of the rocket. So that's where I'd like to introduce the first paying customer of BFR. So, let's see. Would Yusaku Maezawa please come forward? Yeah. Yusaku Maezawa. Yusaku Maezawa. Okay, Yusaku Maezawa.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you, everyone. Wow. I am from Japan. My name is Yusaku Maezawa. You can call me MZ, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for coming to this conference today, and thanks for watching live streaming in the internet today. Yeah. Finally, I can tell you that I choose to go to the moon. Yeah. Finally, I can say I'm very glad to be here, and I'm really exciting and really honored, really appreciate to be able to share this announcement with you and people all over the world. Before talking about the moon and this project, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit, okay? Yeah. Oh, I cannot speak English very well, so please listen carefully, please. Yeah. You can see next photo. This is me. I was a skateboarder. And does anyone know where this is? No? This is Santa Monica. Yeah. Yeah. I had been here. I had been Santa Monica, Los Angeles when I was 18 years old. And I was a skateboarder. I was so impressed by America. Its fashion, music, art, and culture. And of course, nice people like you. Kind, American people is very kind. Yes. And after 6 months staying here, I returned back to Japan and started music. Next photo, please. I played drums for the band. Our band music is so loud, so you don't have to listen to. But I was ex-musician. And after the band, I started my own company. Please? Yes. My company is founded 20 years ago by me. So this year, my company is 20th anniversary. Woo. Thank you. And finally, we started our private fashion label. That name is Zozo, Z-O-Z-O. And the Zozo slogan is be unique, be equal. We are all unique. At the same time, we are all equal. It's important for us. Yeah. You can check our website, zozo.com, zozo.com later. Thank you. Okay, that's all about me. So let's move talking about the moon and this project, okay? Yeah. Now on to the main topic of the day. Many of you may be wondering, why do I want to go to the moon? What do I want to do there? And most of all, why did I purchase the entire BFR? Entire BFR, very huge. For me, this project is very meaningful. I thought long and hard about how valuable it would become the first private passenger to go to the moon. At the same time, I thought about how I can give back to the world and how this can contribute to world peace. This is my lifelong dream. Today, thank you. Thank you. Today, I'd like to tell you about my plans. Okay? Ever since I was a kid, I have loved the moon. Just staring the moon filled my imagination. It's always there and has continued to inspire humanity. That is why I could not pass up this opportunity to see the moon up close. And at the same time, I did not want to have such a fantastic experience by myself. That would be a little lonely. I don't like being alone. So I want to share these experiences and things with as many people as possible. So that is why I choose to go to the moon. I choose to go to the moon with artists. With artists. From now, I choose to invite artists from around the world on my journey. The first artist I thought of was, do you know, Jean-Michel Basquiat, you know? As you can see, I am wearing a Comedy Garrison t-shirt featuring Jean-Michel Basquiat. He already passed away. He's a New York artist. One day, when I was staring at his painting, I thought, what if Basquiat had gone to space and had seen the moon up close or saw the Earth in full view? What wonderful masterpiece would he have created? Just thinking about it now gets my heart racing. But once I got started, I could not stop thinking about who else. What if Picasso had gone to the moon? Or Andy Warhol? Or Michael Jackson? Or John Lennon? Or Coco Chanel? These are all artists that I adore. But sadly, they are no longer with us. But this is when I thought, there are so many artists with us today that I wish would create amazing works of art for humankind, for children of the next generation. And I wished very much that such artists could go to space, see the moon up close, and the Earth in full view, and create works that reflect their experience. This is a project that I designed and named Dear Moon. Yeah. I'd like to introduce detail about Dear Moon. In 2023, as the host, I'd like to invite 6 to 8 artists from around the world to join me on this mission to the moon. These artists will be asked to create something after they return to Earth. And these masterpieces will inspire the dreamer within all of us. Needless to say, we have always been inspired by the moon. Take, for example, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, or Van Gogh's The Starry Night, and the Beatles' Mr. Moonlight. These are countless number of works that have been inspired the moon all around the world. Through the ages, the moon has filled our imagination. And with utmost love and respect for the moon, our planet's constant partner, I named this project Dear Moon. At the moment, I have not decided which artists I'd like to invite, but if possible, I'd like to reach out to top artists that represent our planet from various fields, including painters, sculptors, photographers, musicians, film directors, fashion designers, architects, etc. Luckily, we still have some time before 2023, so I hope to work very closely with SpaceX team and to research out to each artist personally. By the way, if you should hear from me, please say yes and accept my invitation. Please don't say no. Okay. In any case, there is still a lot that I cannot announce today. Sorry. So I will continue to provide regular updates. We have also created a special website for Dear Moon, which will go live after the press conference. So please take a look. Domain will be dearmoon.earth. Dearmoon.earth. Please check out. And I will also keep posting on my social media accounts. So please follow my accounts as well. Okay, so what did you think about this project? Oh. Thank you. Thank you. I was so nervous because my English is poor, but I am glad I got through it. Thank you. And I hope my English was not too painful to listen to. Lastly, to give you a summary of what I just tried to describe about the dear moon. You can see the video from now, please.
Sorry, I gotta turn down the music because I don't know if YouTube may yell at me for the audio.
Years since Apollo 8 achieved lunar orbit in 1968. The time has come. A globally renowned art collector who believes art has the power to promote world peace.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Elon, and the SpaceX team for making today possible. I'm very excited. Thank you very much. That's all. Thank you.
Setting up some chairs here now. Maybe a little Q&A or something. Hopefully YouTube doesn't yell at me about that music. Come on, YouTube, don't be a pain here. Hopefully you don't. This is pretty exciting though. I love the idea that he's going to invite 6 to 8 artists along with him. It's pretty awesome. Oh, I see the SpaceX spacesuit in the background. It seems like maybe they're going to do a Q&A. Guys, how excited are you? Make sure you get thumbs up the video, subscribe, and send over some hearts on Periscope if you're excited for artists going to the moon.
All right,
kind
so
of awesome.
we're going to do some Q&A. Not sure. Sorry?
Yeah.
Great. how did the questions get asked? I'm not actually sure.
Hi, Eli. Ken Chang from New York Times.
Oh, okay.
So
Hey,
in the past 2 years, we've seen 3 designs for this rocket, and it's 5 years before you plan to send these people to the moon. Have you finalized this? Are you still planning the hopper test next year? And could you sort of give more details of how you plan all these tests to be ready in 2023? Are you planning like an uncrewed mission to the moon and back?
Yeah, so, but obviously you followed the whole progress of the design and indeed of SpaceX itself. So you've got quite a lot of background. I feel like this is the final iteration in terms of broad architectural decisions for BFR, BFS. There are a few ways to. There's more than one way to solve this problem, and the prior design, the iteration before this, decoupled the landing legs from the control surfaces and had essentially 6 legs and then 2 actuating rear flaps. I actually did not like the aesthetics of that design. And so we have the 3 sort of large legs with 2 of them actuating as body flaps or large moving wings, effectively. I think this design is probably on par with the other one. It might be better. It's slightly riskier, technically, because of coupling legs and sort of the actuating wing fin flaps. But I think it's the right decision overall. I think it looks beautiful. And I love the Tintin rocket design, so I kind of wanted to bias it towards that. If in doubt, go with Tintin. And then additional flights, we're going to do a lot of test flights. So we still anticipate doing hopper flights next year. And then, depending upon how well those go, we'll do high altitude, high velocity flights with the ship in 2020. And also start doing tests of the booster. And if things go well, we could be doing the first orbital flights in about 2 to 3 years. And then we'll do many such test flights and before putting any people on board. I'm not sure if we will actually test a flight around the moon or not, but probably we will try to do that without people before sending people. That would be wise. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Toshi Ogata from the Japanese newspaper called Asahi Shimbun. Mr. Musk, you chose a Japanese citizen for the first passenger.
Well, he chose us.
What? Oh, okay. But what's your message behind that? The first passenger was a Japanese citizen instead of U.S. citizen or the rest of the world. What's your message to the rest of the world through this announcement?
Well, he is I think, the bravest person and the most willing to do so. And he was the best adventurer, I think. He stepped forward to do it. To be clear, this is, it's really, we're honored that he would choose us. This is not us choosing him. Yeah, defer to comments. Maybe you would like to make some comments, but he's a very brave person to do this. And because he is paying, a lot of money, we're not disclosing the amount, but he is paying a lot of money that will help with the development of this ship and booster. And ultimately, this system, this BFR system, is intended to be able to carry anyone to orbit and to the moon and to Mars. And so he is ultimately helping pay for the average citizen to be able to travel to other planets. It's a great thing. I hope this is really seen as a very positive thing and something that people are excited about. It's dangerous, to be clear. This is dangerous. This is no, walk in the park here. This will require a lot of training, and it's not again. It's like, when you're pushing the frontier, it's not a sure thing. It's not like just taking an air flight somewhere. There's some chance that something could go wrong. We'll do everything we can to minimize that. But whenever it's the first flight of something on a new technology, and we're talking about deep space, you have to be a very brave person to do that. This is no small matter.
David Curley from ABC News. 2 quick questions.
It's impossible to know where the mic's coming from because I just get the speakers.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
No pad. Falcon Heavy and the 2 deposits, the 2 passengers who were going to go, what happened to them? And bigger picture, what did you think when he came to you and said, I want to do an all-civilian global art project and buy an entire flight to the moon?
Well, it's the same person, but with Falcon Heavy and Dragon, that we would have had essentially, especially for a trip around the moon, only room for 2 people, because it's meant for sort of 4 to 7 for low Earth orbit on Dragon. But it's like about the size of, an SUV inside there. Like if you have a 5-day journey in an SUV, you don't want to be jam-packed. So that's why there was sort of only kind of 2. Now, BFR has got room for 100. And we said, well, maybe it's wise on this to have about a dozen people or thereabouts on the first trip into deep space. He's very graciously offered to provide those seats to artists and cultural influences and like basically, key influences in society, and we better get that flight right. We're gonna definitely be doing everything we possibly can to make sure that is a good flight. But instead of 2, you can have a dozen, and probably not wise to have 100 on this flight, but we'll leave a lot of extra room for extra fuel and oxygen, sort of food and water, spare parts, just sort of just in case. If something goes wrong, like you have as much opportunity as possible for a recovery. I mean, this is a dangerous mission. It's definitely dangerous. Yep.
Danger.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Makoto Mitsui from the Yomiuri Shimbun, Japanese newspaper. I have 2 quick questions. One goes to Mr. Maezawa and one goes to Mr. Elon. To Maezawa-san, how much did you pay for the moon travel, or how much do you plan to pay for the moon travel? And another question to the Elon. So what kind of SpaceX specific characteristics or company culture do you think has contributed to SpaceX becoming the leading company in the United States to come up with innovations such as BRF? Thank you.
Sorry, I cannot answer the price, the cost today. Sorry.
It's going to be free for the artists. So that's cool. I think it's a really good gesture.
Yeah.
It's good of you to do that. As far as I think what attracts a lot of the best talent in the world, so the best engineers in the world, to SpaceX is the nature of the mission, which is we want to advance space technology to make humanity a multi-planet species, and I think that the very best engineers in the world, it's not just about a job or making a salary or whatever. It's like, how was the time spent? Did it matter? What was the significance of the project? This is very important, I think, to the best engineers, because the best engineers, they can work anywhere. And I think the fact that this is a mission and it's a lot of hard work, but we're trying to go about it in the right way. I think this is a key reason why some of the best people in the world come to work at SpaceX, and that's how we're able to make progress.
Maroon jacket, right here.
Hey.
Hi, how are you? Mireya Gabriel with CBS News. We just had a quick question. I mean, obviously we know that this is going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of precision. In the past, we've known that there have been project deadlines that have not been met. For example, with the Falcon Heavy, what makes you so sure that you can actually meet that 2023 deadline?
No, we're definitely not sure. I want to be clear. And I think we've been pretty unsure about prior dates too. I mean, if I had some sort of crystal ball, I'd love to know, how long something will take. I mean, you have to set some kind of date that is kind of like the things go right date. And then, of course, we have reality, and things do not go right in reality. Usually there are many setbacks and issues. So, if we put a date out there, it's kind of like, well, if everything goes approximately right, then this is the date. But there's so many uncertainties. I mean, this is a ridiculously big rocket. It's got so much advanced technology. I mean, it's not 100% certain that we succeed in getting this to flight. It's not even 100% certain. I think it's pretty likely, but it's not certain. And but we're going to do everything humanly possible to bring it to flight as fast as we can, and as safely as we can. Yeah.
Hi, Stephen Clark from Spaceflight Now. Elon, have you made a decision on where the BFR will launch and land initially? And also, for Yusaku, if you're not saying how much you are paying, but can you say if you've made a down payment of any kind at this point? Thank you.
Yes, I did. Already.
Yeah, here's the real deal. Definitely it's made a significant deposit on the on the price, which is a significant price, and will actually have a material effect on on paying for the cost of development of BFR. It's a non-trivial amount it's like of material impact to the BFR program. So it really it makes a difference. This is, he puts his money where his mouth is. It's legit. So Sorry, there's another part to the question, maybe? I don't know.
Yes. Have you selected a launch and landing site for BFR for the initial flights and first orbital flights? Thank you.
We've not yet firmly decided on a. I should say for the short hops, we will be doing it out of our Texas site. So we have a site that is on the south coast of Texas, near Brownsville, and that's where we will be doing the initial hops of BFS. You should probably think of a different name, but this was like kind of the code name, and it kind of stuck. But we might change that name in the future. Yeah, the only thing is, like, I think we want to name like the first ship that goes to Mars after the Douglas Adams, my favorite spaceship, the Heart of Gold from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah. As for the first orbital flights, we've not made a firm decision on that, and it may actually be that we launch from a floating platform. That's possible.
Hi, thanks for doing this. You've shown us the outside of the spacecraft. Can you talk about the work that you've done so far and what the plan is for stuff that goes in it, life support, interior, all the safety stuff you're going to need? And speaking of safety, you mentioned this is a very dangerous mission. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, is there any quantification you can provide to us? Any sort of testing you're doing to the carbon fiber body, things like that, to ensure that this can be as safe as possible? Thanks.
For the interior, we've just have some sort of concepts in terms of what it would be like, and depending upon what type of mission, you'd have a different configuration. So if you were going to Mars, for example, that's at least kind of a 3-month journey, maybe upwards of a 6 or 7 month journey. So if you're going to be in something for 3 to 6 months, you want to have like a cabin, and then have like a common area for recreation, and some sort of meeting rooms, or, because you'll be in this thing for months. Now, if you're going, say, to the moon or around the moon, you kind of have a several day journey. So probably still want cabins. Yeah. Common area. I think you want to have a lot of what is the most fun that you can have in 0G? That for sure is a key thing. Fun is underrated. It's like 3 more of that. So, what is the most enjoyable thing we can possibly do? We will do that, I think. And then safety-wise, this will be built upon our work with the NASA Crew Dragon design. We're going to put more engineering effort into having a fully recyclable system for BFR, because if you have a very long journey, it makes sense to have like a sort of closed loop oxygen CO2 system, a closed loop water system. Whereas if you are, say, just going out for several days, you don't necessarily need to have a fully closed loop system. So there's like a fair bit of engineering that's needed for the Mars journey, but I think probably we can mostly leverage the work we've done for the NASA Crew mission to the space station for the lunar journeys. And we've learned a great deal from NASA, and I really just want to, just give another word of appreciation to NASA. We would not be where we are today without them, and that NASA does remain our primary priority, along with national security space missions. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Tim Fernholtz with Quartz over here. Hey Elon, hey MZ. Question for each of you. MZ, I'm curious if you could talk about what kind of training you expect to go ahead of this mission, what the experience is going to be like to you, and how much input you're having in that tourist experience. And then Elon, I'm just curious if you can tell us what percentage of the company's effort or time is going to BFR right now versus other projects? And how important is that April 2019 commercial crew flight to making this moon mission happen?
Can I answer in Japanese? Yeah. まあそのこれから全部決めますと。まだ何も決まってません。でトレーニングもどんなことするかもまだ分かりません。
So nothing is written in stone. So we are going to start discussions and decide here on forward. And we haven't really discussed what type of training we'll be doing as either.
All right. Let's see. In terms of SpaceX resources, this is still quite a small portion of SpaceX resources. Certainly less than 5% of SpaceX. Less than 5% of SpaceX resources are currently spent on BFR. Now that will change quite significantly in the years to come. But overwhelmingly, our resources are focused on launching satellites, transporting cargo to and from the space station, and then our top priority is the upcoming NASA crew mission next year, and we're hoping to do a test flight of Dragon 2 in December, and then a crewed flight next year, hopefully in the sort of second quarter of next year. So that's definitely our top priority. As we complete Crew Dragon, then we will shift our resources more and more to BFR. So I think, assuming that the National Crew Mission goes well, and that's really quite fundamental to the future of SpaceX. As I said, it's the top priority. Then, once that is, well, hopefully, assuming that is successful and goes well, then we're probably towards the end of next year, we would switch a majority of our new engineering developments towards BFR by the end of next year.
Hi, this is Liz Lopato with The Verge. I have two questions. I have one for the passenger and one about the rocket. My first question is, what do you look forward to most while you're in space? What do you most want to do while you're going around the moon? And the second is, how much money is it going to take to develop the BFR to make this trip?
I love art, so アートとアートの融合だから、アーティストとアーティストがコラボレーションして何が生まれるかっていうのを目の前で見ることができるのが非常に楽しみです。
So I love art, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing what different artists getting together could bring to life.
It's actually hard to say what the development cost is of the BFR system. I think it's roughly $5 billion. You know, it's difficult to say what it would end up being, but that's, if I were to guess, it would be something like $5 billion, which would be really quite a small amount for a project of this nature. Like $5 billion is obviously a very large amount of money, but small for a project of this nature. Yeah.
Last question to the LA Times.
Hi, Samantha Masanaga, LA Times. One question for Elon. You mentioned the various revenue streams that you're planning to use to pay for BFR development. What's your estimate of the development costs for BFR?
Sorry, what's the question?
What's your estimate of development costs for BFR?
Oh, that's what I was talking about. Is for this BFR system, I think it's probably on the order of $5 billion. Something like that. I don't think it's more than 10, and I don't think it's like less than 2. We do a few more questions if there's, yeah. want to make sure if you made your way out here and you feel like there's an important question that we haven't, we definitely try to do our best to answer it.
Elon.
And by the way, thanks guys for coming out here. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Elon, Ed Ludlow from Bloomberg Television. Thank you for the event. I have a question about lunar landing and trips to the surface, because you outlined your vision for multi-planet species, the future of the human race. Is that something concrete in the near term as a stepping stone or a way to drive additional revenue? And for the passenger, have you spoken to any of your billionaire friends, any of your high net worth friends, to either convince them of your vision to join you on BFR or to answer Elon's plea for funding for more BFR? If you could answer that, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Well, I think it'd be very exciting to have a moon base. I used to watch this corny show called Moon Base Alpha. It's made no sense, but it was cool. There was a base on the moon. We should have a base on the moon. Why do we? It's 2018. Why is there no base on the damn moon? There should be one, and we should go there a lot. I think that'd be amazing to have a base on the moon, particularly if it was something where the average person, if they saved up, could go. That would be incredible, and that's the kind of thing we want to do. Sorry? Oh yeah. No, BFR is designed to land on any surface in the solar system, whether there's air or not. That's why it's important to have a propulsive landing system. Wings and landing gear work great on Earth, but they kind of need an atmosphere and a runway. Who's going to build that runway? How do you get? Begs the question. Somebody's going to build the runway. Also, there's no air on the moon, but tricky to land with wings. So, propulsive landing is the way to go. It's actually the only way to go, really. You could try to use if you had a small payload, try to sort of bounce. That was one of the Mars missions. You had a inflatable kind of bouncy castle thing. But I don't think that's gonna sell well. So, propulsive landing is the way to go. And this is designed for propulsive landing, and the fins are designed to deal with a wide range of atmospheric conditions. So it could, land on another planet with atmosphere. You wouldn't want to land on Venus, though. It's kind of like Mars and Earth, pretty much, that have an atmosphere. Everything else is either not relevant in its atmosphere, or it's like a gas giant or something like that. So you really want propulsive landing, and then you use an atmosphere if it's helpful for braking, but you don't require it. Yeah. But we want it'd be great if there was regularly scheduled flights to the moon. I mean, that's a great future. That's a great future. Yeah.
Thank you, Elon. Eric Johnson with Reuters News. Let's say you hit your 2023 goal, and you just talked about, regular lunar trips. Can you talk about what your goal is for an annual ramp up of how many trips you'd like to see? That's question one. And then the second part is, Boeing CEO has said that the first humans will go to Mars on a Boeing rocket.
Game on. Let's do it.
Okay, that's what I want to ask you is, given the increased competition,
good.
What do you have to say to that? Thank you so much.
I say good. That's I'm glad he said that. That's great. We should do it. Competition's a good thing. It's races are interesting. I say I'm glad. I hope Boeing really goes hardcore for moon and Mars missions. Yeah, that'd be really great. As far as the ramp up, it's as fast as we can make it go, we'll make it go. We're pedal to the metal. We just need to make sure we have our priorities right. And our priority is, the NASA, crewed mission, our satellite customers. Those are our current priorities. And once we are confident that that is taken care of, then we will ramp up BFR big time, get the Starlink system active. Hopefully that does the trick. And it'd be great if Boeing, like this, really good at making airplanes. So maybe they can be really good at making rockets too. That's great.
Hey Elon, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut here. I see that you changed the engine configuration for the BFS. Can you talk a little bit about, is there still engine out capability? Is it vacuum optimized but still landable on sea level? Can they function as an abort system? Can you just kind of tell us about your new decision making on that?
Oh yeah, actually you noticed that, that's a good thing to notice. Good eye. So in order to minimize the development risk and cost, we decided to commonize the engine between the booster and the ship. So a future upgrade path for BFS would be to have a vacuum optimized nozzle. So these are sort of, these nozzles are kind of a sea level nozzle, size nozzle, so that they are able to operate well at sea level because they're essentially the booster size nozzle. Like where you see that sort of cargo around the perimeter, you can actually switch out those cargo sections for a vacuum nozzle version of Raptor. So, and it can go all the way to, the vacuum nozzle can go all the way to the perimeter of all the way to basically the skin of the vehicle. So you can have you can have something which has maybe three or four times the exit diameter of the Raptors that you see there as engines in the perimeter, and the exchange would be that you'd lose basically 2 of those cargo racks in exchange for every vacuum engine, but then your total payload performance to Mars would increase significantly. But we can do the 100 tons to the surface of Mars with those engines. But it would definitely, I think, like version 2 would have the vacuum engines most likely in place of those cargo racks. Yeah, but having those the engines in that configuration, with 7 engines means it's definitely capable of engine out at any time, including 2 engine out in almost all circumstances. So you could lose 2 engines and still be totally safe. In fact, in some cases you can lose up to 4 engines and still be totally fine. So it only needs 3 engines for landing. 3 out of 7. Yeah.
Yvan Couronne of Agence France Presse. Mr. Maezawa, have you thought about how you're going to select the artist? And Mr. Musk, can you give us an idea of whether Mr. Maezawa contributed more or less than 5% of the development cost?
Everybody's dying to know the cost of this.
そういうこと。基本的には自分の好きなアーティストに声をかけたいです。
In principle, I would like to reach out to the artists that I love.
5% でもやってくれてありがとう。
And I'm happy with just 5%. Thank you very much for working on the rocket.
Enough. Thank you.
Well, I don't think we're gonna obviously do any percentage math that would kind of give it away, but it's a material percentage.
Hi, Elon. Robert Perlman with Collect Space and Space.com.
Okay. Sorry, it's almost impossible to see what's going on. Okay.
You showed a trajectory screen before. For this flight, can you talk a little bit about the profile, maximum G that the passengers will experience? How long will they be at the moon, and how close will they be above the surface?
Well, it's important to bear in mind we can actually adjust the maximum G's in exchange for a reduction in payload. So this is a mission we could probably do in the ascent phase, keeping it under a 3G ascent. Although, normally you'd probably want to go to 5Gs, but under 3Gs, maybe even like 2.5, because we'd have a lot of extra payload. And then this mission would be a loop around the moon. The exact mission profile has not been decided, but I think it would be pretty exciting to kind of like skim the surface, go real close, and then zoom out far, and then come back around. So in the diagram, it looks kind of symmetric, but I think you'd probably want to go real close, and then go zooming past the moon, go far out, kind of get about as far from Earth as you can get within reason. So like even the moon's relatively small, and you come zipping back in, and then if we do we could do sort of like an initial atmospheric. There are like two ways to do it. You could either come straight in, which would be a relatively high G situation. That might be like maybe a 6G entry or something like that. Or you could do one where you skim the atmosphere and shed velocity, and then capture into low Earth orbit, and then do a deorbit burn and come in which case you could probably keep the entry Gs hopefully to around 3. This is sort of pretty off the cuff here, but those are kind of, I think, close-ish numbers. Yeah.
This is the last question.
Michael Sheets with CNBC. Elon, you're standing next to the first real person who's putting money behind a project of putting people into space. What does that make you think about going into space yourself, and when do you think that's going to happen?
You mean like me personally? Well, I think first of all, I would say, I think this is done a lot to restore my faith in humanity, that somebody's willing to do this. Take their money and help fund this new project that's risky, might not succeed, it's dangerous. It's like donating seats. These are great things. It's I tell you, it's done a lot to restore my faith in humanity. And as far as me going, I'm not sure. He did suggest maybe that I would join on this trip. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Please, yeah.
Maybe we'll both be on it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming. It's very exciting. It's guaranteed to be a really exciting journey, and we'll keep you posted along the way. Yeah. I hope you're fired up. I'm super fired up. This is going to be great. Thank you.
All right, they got some kind of music playing that I had to turn down again so YouTube doesn't yell at me. But that's pretty much it. There it is. There's the big SpaceX BFR press conference announcement. This is fantastic. So much information. I wrote down a bajillion things while everything was going on. Hopefully, everybody stuck around and was interested in it. It sounds like they did put out a whole bunch of new information here. I guess we don't really need this here anymore. Let's see. I can switch over, make myself big again. And I'll mute this and take off my earpiece because we don't need that anymore. So how about that? A whole bunch of information coming out of that. I don't even know where to start. new design information. But the big news coming out of it is this Japanese man whose name I'm probably going to butcher, but it's this Yusaku Maezawa. I'm sure I butchered that, but he's going to be the first private passenger to travel around the moon into deep space. He paid for the entire BFR, a huge sum of money. Everybody tried to get it out of him, but they won't say how much he actually paid, which is probably a good thing. But they won't tell you how much he's actually paid. But Elon has said in the past that development could be in the range, missions could be in the range of like $5 billion or things like that. So a lot of money there. But the other interesting thing, which I think it's kind of amazing, is he's going to be inviting for free. That they said they're not paying for it, but for free, 6 to 8 artists that are going to join him on this trip. He's basically going to handpick these artists. He is so I was doing some research into Maezawa here, MZ as they said to call him. And he's a big art collector, big art fan. He founded a fashion company. He's worth $3.6 billion reportedly himself. Big art collector. So makes sense for him to want to invite 6 to 8 artists along with it. And I don't know. I find that pretty inspiring, because I think, especially for the first mission, it's not just it's a lot about like, look here, we can do it. But it's also one of the things that SpaceX has been so good at is getting people interested and getting people inspired into it. And in order to do that, something like this, bringing these 6 to 8 artists along with it to create a larger project beyond just the actual mission itself, I think it is very inspiring, and it's good for furthering especially the new push with STEAM education, incorporating art into science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So I think that's fantastic that they're incorporating or bringing along 6 to 8 artists for free, or as Alex says, for free. They will be expected to create something. So there's something that they do have to do on their behalf, but from what they said in the press conference, they don't actually have to pay SpaceX for this mission. Maezawa or MZ is paying for the actual BFR. Space TV says he's going to send this to his high school art. Send this guy his high school art portfolio to see if he can get in. So. But yeah, a whole bunch of different types of artists, not just painters, but they had, and I could probably pull up the slate, but I don't want to go searching around for it, but they were talking about painters, sculptors, even architects that design buildings. So a lot of opportunity there for, all sorts of disciplines to get on board to be one of these 6 to 8 people, likely high profile type artists. I don't know if Space TV sending in your high school art portfolio is going to work, but hey, give it a shot. You never know. So they did confirm that the fins. So they confirmed a couple of things on the new BFR design. The 2 side fins are actuated, and they do fold or move rather. It doesn't look like they completely fold, but they at least move as part of a control surface. And crazy, that real physics thing that they showed too, with a super high angle of attack coming in, using the atmosphere to slow itself down, and then vertical landing. No landing gear. I think I had said in the beginning of the broadcast that they had a landing gear, but it said all the slates that they showed during the broadcast show landing pads, not landing gears. And that third fin, which everybody was thinking was a vertical stabilizer, is not actually a vertical stabilizer. It's actually just a landing pad. It serves no aerodynamic purpose. It's just a landing leg, essentially. It's a fin with another landing pad on it, and it just happens to look like the other 2 fins just to make it aesthetically pleasing. So that was kind of interesting as well. In one of the slates, they talked about the back section there with the engines, new engine configuration. Those are all. And actually, it was Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, that mentioned got his question in about the engine nozzles that are on the back. So those are all sea-level engine nozzles. So typically, Your engine nozzles are sized differently for whether they're meant for sea level or for vacuum. And so those nozzles that are on the back of the BFR, the new BFR rendering, which we can pull up real quick, but the new BFR rendering, those 7 engines, those are sea level nozzle, they're sea level sized engine nozzles or engine bells that are on the back, but plenty of room for vacuum engines, because they have this cargo ring around the back side. It's aft cargo that they can put in, and all those aft cargo ring, they can take those out and drop in vacuum rated Raptor engines. And so those for every 2 aft cargo boxes or whatever those are that they take out, they can put in a new vacuum engine. So potentially a lot more thrust that they can get out of this in future versions. But even just those 7 engines, that's what they're referring to when Elon was saying they're rated to take 100 tons all the way to Mars with refueling. You'd have to refuel in order to take 100 tons all the way to Mars with on-orbit refueling. But that's just with those 7 sea level rated engines. What else did I write down here? They've started main cylinder construction. So they showed a couple of shots of the actual main cylinder of the BFS being constructed. We pretty much covered all that. The BFR has room for 100 passengers, but there's only about it sounds like maybe 9 to possibly upwards of 12. Maybe Elon himself, as they got to at the end of the press conference there. I don't think that's going to happen, but they left room for it. MZ there, Maezawa, was like, "Yeah, come on, you come with us." He seemed like he was a little standoffish, like, "Just building rockets. I don't want to go on them." But we also talked about timeline. So timeline, this mission is scheduled for 2023. Whether that's still 5 years away, whether that actually happens or not is still yet to be seen. But you got to put out a date there to shoot for something. So they're shooting for 2023, and hopefully they can stick to that. It would be nice. A lot of SpaceX's timelines, at least in the past, you think about Falcon Heavy, they couldn't really stick to the timeline. It went a couple of years past that. So it could be 2023 is kind of the earliest. It could push out, though. Could go 2025 or 2026. Or maybe even further. Hopefully not. I would love to see them do it in 2023, but that's what they're pushing for. He said the main architectural decisions on the BFR and the BFS are completed. They are going to start those short hop flights in 2019. They're going to start high altitude flights in 2020, along with flights and tests of the actual booster. And then the orbital tests won't come until probably 2021. Will be the first orbital flights. And let's see, we had he talked about maybe changing the name of the BFR. He didn't like that. And BFR, I see, this was kind of surprising to me, but he said that BFR is currently using less than 5% of the SpaceX resources for development. I thought it was a lot higher than that. I would have guessed much higher. I thought they were really making a big push for this BFR, but less than 5% was surprisingly smaller. But it does make sense, because it sounds like they're going to focus heavily on their satellite contractors and their NASA paying customers, NASA missions and crew missions and things like that, since that's where all their money is coming from. So let's see. Then he also threw out the Starlink. I forgot about Starlink. I haven't thought about it in a while, but they do have the Starlink project, the satellite-based internet system. We haven't heard much about that since the actual Starlink demo satellites were launched. And let's see, he said they can also, the current configuration of engines, they can lose 2 engines and still be safe. In some situations, they could lose up to 4 engines and still be safe. They only need 3 for landing. So those are all the big things that I just kind of flew through. But yeah, a lot of information that came out of there, and I saw there were comments flying by for a long time. I'm sure I'm going to miss a ton of them, but let's see if I can run back here and see. Let's see. Alex Eagle says, just because you build a rocket doesn't mean you want to go on one. He's too busy to fly. I would think so. I don't know if I would want Elon to go on the rocket, just because I don't think we would want to run the risk of potentially losing somebody like Elon on a rocket launch. Not that I think, not that MZ is any less valuable, but particularly just because Elon's the one building the rockets and furthering that, or at least designing them and coming up with that. So let's see, what else did we miss for comments? Let's see. Elon Musk. We got to go back. There's so many comments that I missed. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go back and read them all. Hard to do it in real time. Everybody's talking about how they're going to become painters now. All of a sudden, everybody's going to turn into an artist so they can go on the mission. Matt Gixer says this is a great idea. First rocket to the moon. Let's send a bunch of artists just in case anything goes wrong. Let's see. Buzz Aldrin said that NASA should have sent up a poet or an artist to describe the view, which, I think I also recall that as well, which is kind of true, because they've always talked about how awe-inspiring the view is. The concept of just leaving Earth and looking back at the planet and seeing the entire Earth and going, wow, everybody that is currently alive or has ever lived, or well, hopefully not ever will, but everybody that's currently alive or ever has been is right there out my window right now, which is kind of crazy. So certainly, hopefully an artist can capture that. Let's see, a movie director would be great, filming the view and then making a movie from it, says Jack on YouTube. Gaming Freak also said, yeah, movie director. Acelor Anime is going to start taking some music lessons so he can get on the flight. Let's see. Yeah, Matt doesn't think this is going to be successful. Mike Ferguson, he can do drawings, the old turkey hand drawing, the little draw around your thing, make it a turkey. That might get you there, Mike. Give it a shot. We got some people on Periscope saying that we never went to the moon in the first place. Thinks that Buzz came out and said we never really went. I'm pretty sure Buzz did not say that. Let's see. We have been to the moon once, and they think in 5 years we are going back. Well, I mean, you think about the Apollo mission was about a 10-year development period, and SpaceX has been developing BFR for about 3 years. They're talking about launching one in another 5. There's 8 years total compared to, I think, research for Apollo was 10-ish years or something like that. I'm sure somebody can correct me, but yeah, I think that's doable. I think 5 years is doable. It's definitely going to be ambitious, and it's going to they're going to have to, everything's going to have to go right. But yeah, we'll have to see if that timeline holds up. So. Let's see. Passengers will need to train like astronauts. Certainly, they will definitely have to do some training to be prepared for emergencies. But the Route 64 on Periscope is talking about the Boeing challenge. They said they were going to get astronauts private astronauts to space first, and Elon said, "Game on." That's in reference to the Crew Dragon, not the BFR, but that's in reference to the Crew Dragon versus Boeing's CST-100 Starliner. Who's going to get there first? Because that's actually coming up next year in 2019. Starting in by next summer, we should have either SpaceX or Boeing putting some astronauts up to the International Space Station. So we'll see who gets there first. Let's see. Why have we not been back to the moon? Technology is better now than then. Well, I think it was. There's a bunch of reasons. One, it's really expensive to go to the moon, and who's paying for that? I mean, right now, it's all funded by government agencies. and the government agencies have to justify paying that cost to go to the moon. And a lot of people, I mean, it happened back in the 70s, but even still, a lot of people say, why go to the moon? It's pointless. But I don't think so. But there's a lot of people that say that. So there's a lot of naysayers that don't want to go to the moon. They think it's a waste of money. Why don't we focus on what's happening on the Earth? That kind of thing. Personally, I think it's great. I think we should be going to the moon. We should be going to Mars, because I think the developments and the technology that we get out of going to there, the inspiration, that all of that helps what's happening here on Earth. I mean, you get people inspired to get into, I mean, that's our whole mission with Overlook Horizon, is inspiring people into science and technology and computer science and mathematics and physics and aerospace engineering, all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't necessarily, somebody can see a rocket launch and be like, wow, that's really cool, and then say, I want to be a software engineer. They don't have to go into rockets or become an astronaut, but they may look at that kind of stuff and be like, wow, I want to do really cool things with technology too. And so maybe I'll go into software engineering because I love working with computers, or something along those lines. And that in turn helps us on the Earth, or technology that's developed to go all of a sudden becomes useful on Earth. So there's all there is a big use for technology and operations and procedures developed for space flight that can be used on Earth. Let's see. They say the iPhone has more technology than the Apollo 1 moon trip. I think you're right, actually. The Apollo 1 computer was not very beefy. Let's see. I'm going back, trying to get back up to my most recent comments. How much do you think Elon really engineers? I actually think Elon is a big part of the engineering. Elon's a very hands-on type guy. I actually think he's very involved in engineering. All of a sudden, my shirt is starting to chroma key. What's happening to my shirt? My shirt is chroma keying out. Must be the lighting is starting to change. Anyways, I actually think Elon does a lot of the engineering that happens. I think he's a hands-on guy. He likes to be there and actually be part of the design. He's an engineer by trade. Like that was his thing, is engineering. So I think he still does a lot of engineering. I mean, I don't think he's down there doing the nitty-gritty, but I think he has input, and he's doing. I think he's definitely, he's not sitting in I don't think he's sitting in a big office chair just saying like, yeah, make it happen. I mean, I think he's involved. Let's see. What else did we miss for comments? Casey Newstart, I'm assuming you're talking about Casey Neistat. Should try to get on board. The YouTuber Casey Neistat. That would be cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, there he is. He corrected it. Casey Neistat. Let's see. Oh, Alex Ziggyful talking about the Buzz Aldrin comment. Buzz Aldrin punched someone in the face that told him we didn't go to the moon. So I don't think that Buzz said we never were there, which is true. Buzz Aldrin did punch somebody that was claiming we never went to the moon. So yeah, I think Buzz is pretty passionate about we actually went to the moon. Sebi Time Waster. It's 4:43 a.m. there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, I'm going to wrap up here soon. I don't want to go too much longer because I'm also tired. Let's see. They did move their timeline from 2023 to Mars to 2023 to the moon. That's a good catch there. So it looks like 2023 is going to be our first moon mission. So Mars missions are likely after that. Let's see. Some people commenting they want Red Lobster to sponsor Overlook Horizon in spirit of the Space Lobster. Yes, I'm still waiting on the Red Lobster sponsorship. If anybody has connections, get in touch with Red Lobster because they're getting a lot of press out of our Space Lobster missions and everything else. Let's see, what else do we miss? I want to be STEM for the win, says Space TV. Someone help Tori. He's slowly being chroma keyed out of existence. I am being chroma keyed out. I don't know, my shirt. I love the new green screen setup. I feel like it looks a little bit cleaner. One of the hardest things is trying to figure out what shirt to wear for the broadcast. Like half the shirts I wear, this is a gray shirt, and yet somehow there must be some green in it because it's chroma keying out on the edges. Like, I don't know what's happening. Trying to find the right shirt to wear is a huge problem these days with my broadcast. Let's see. Alex Da Vinci said sorry, got distracted when painting. We got painters now. Let's see. So Alex Igifo wanted to know if we were going to do a patch giveaway. I don't think I'm going to do a patch giveaway today. I'm going to save those for the actual launch broadcast. I feel like that's more fitting to give away a mission patch after a launch. So I'm going to save the giveaways for launch, but you should definitely make sure you're subscribed. I know Alex Igifo is subscribed, but if you're not, you should subscribe, because on the YouTube channel, we give away mission patches like these after successful launch. See, this is weird too. This is chroma keying out as well. This loop here and these letters are blue, but yet my chroma key thinks it's green screened. So I don't know why. There must be some green in there. Still new to the green screen technology. Call Jim, the local Red Lobster manager, see if he'll sponsor you. Yeah. Let's see. Will you need a passport to go to the moon? I don't think so. I wouldn't, unless you're going to come down. Well, you might, maybe, if you have to come down in a different country. If you got to land somewhere else, like for an emergency or something, maybe. Let's see. The Route 64 says your chroma key issue is just from spill. DM me for the solve. I think I know what you're talking about, the route. I believe what he's talking about is, I think what happens is the chroma key, the screen has got too much light on it, and it's causing my shoulders to be a little bit green, and then it's trying to key that out. So it's like, essentially my broadcast lights are reflecting the chroma key color onto my shoulders, and so it makes my shoulders look a little green, and therefore chroma key out. So I think that's what you're talking about. Try to work on that. It was lighter in here when I started the broadcast, so it's hard to, like, I'm probably overexposed here now with all my lights. I can turn them down, but I don't want to get up. So let's see. Why don't they let people take pictures going by SpaceX at Kennedy Space Center in Florida? Usually the pictures thing is usually for ITAR regulations. So ITAR is, what does that stand for? The International Traffic in Arms Regulations. I didn't want to get that wrong. But ITAR regulations essentially specify what information from the United States is allowed to be exported as it results to weapons and arms. And even though rockets are not really weapons, it's pretty much the same thing as a ballistic missile. So the technology that goes into building rockets, even if it's for a satellite or for passengers, is the same technology that goes into building ballistic missiles. So they don't allow you to take pictures so that you don't post them on the internet, because if you took a picture of portions of the rocket technology and posted them on the internet, that's technically exporting rocket technology or ballistic missile technology out of the United States, which is against international what is it again? What did I say? International export of arms. What did I say it was? International Traffic in Arms Regulation. So that's what the ITAR regulate. That's why they don't let you take a lot of pictures when you go to Kennedy Space Center, or if you see, when I went to the NASA Social and we got to go into their research lab, we couldn't take any pictures. They were like, no pictures. And it's all for those ITAR regulations. So let's see. Wear your red shrimpy shirt and you should be okay for a background. I have worn the red shirt, but I feel like I shouldn't wear the same shirt for every broadcast, so try to mix it up a little bit. Let's see. Could you do a tutorial sometime on how you and what equipment used for chroma key? Oh, that's a good idea. I could do that someday. We do have, coming out on Wednesday, we got a new YouTube video coming out on Wednesday that's a little tour around our payload boxes, our weather balloon payload boxes. So look for that on Wednesday. That video is going to get published on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, we could probably do a tutorial on how we do chroma key or the equipment or microphone. A lot of people have asked me about that, like what microphones we use, what provide broadcast software and cameras and lighting and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I can claim to be an expert in all of that, but I've picked up some things and we've tried it. But anyways, I do my best. I don't have a producer. This is it. I'm the producer and the host, because nobody else in our nonprofit wants to do any of the live broadcasting. Everybody else is like, I'll do the behind the scenes work. You can be the face, which I don't mind. I have fun with it, but sometimes it'd be nice if I could have a producer to operate the technology while I could just talk. So let's see. Is this passenger thing going to be the first step to move all the rich people to their own planet? Maybe. I mean, I think it's the first step to getting people to other planet. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot of. I know I can't afford to go. It'd probably be a lot of people with a lot of money that's going to be the first passengers. But at some point, I think, at least I hope, that stuff like this is not just going to be a vehicle for billionaires. I think it will help get billionaires interested to invest in SpaceX, which I think is what part. I still think that this press conference had a little bit of that behind the scenes. Was let's have this big press conference and get people excited, and it might help us raise more funds and investors to do this kind of thing. So hopefully the idea will be that you get investors that fund it, and then you can have regular-ish people go, like astronauts and engineers and scientists and maybe more artists, who knows, but you get people, not necessarily every person that rides is a billionaire. I don't know. That's the hope. So I think what else? Did we miss anything else? So I guess to recap, we got some new information about the BFS. Sounds like they're on their way to a 2023 launch. And you've got some new wings. We've got some landing pads. Got some aft cargo areas. We saw the re-entry, the angle of attack. I still think that was pretty cool. I saw it. I don't remember who said it, but somebody said in the YouTube comments, they said it looked like Tori yesterday trying to re-enter during Kerbal, which was wish I could say that was on purpose, but it did kind of look like my re-entry yesterday, where I just kind of took the broad side of the rocket into Earth's atmosphere. But that's pretty much what they're going to do with the BFS. They're going to use the whole rocket, basically the side of the rocket, and just plow through the atmosphere, and so to slow the whole thing down. So I think that it's a great idea if you can do it. I mean, they're going to have heat shielding on the whole broad side of the rocket in order to do that, because you're going to be generating a lot of heat by pushing all that air out of the way. So there you go. Matt Gixer says, so that means 2025 launch. It potentially could be. You don't know. He says 2023. That could push to 2025, but as of right now, 2023. What about the space? Mike wants to know, what about the space toilets? I think we have that figured out. The Apollo and Gemini and the space station. We got bathroom issues sorted out for space, I think. Let's see. So Yusaku Maezawa, probably butchering that name. That's our guy, Maezawa MZ. He's the one in the Dear, what they call it, Dear Moon, hashtag Dear Moon, or they got a new Twitter handle at Dear Moon Project. And every time I say Dear Moon, I think of the animal deer. I don't know why. But at Dear Moon Project, and a website, which I tweeted out. I think it's like dearmoon.earth, right? Yeah, dearmoon.earth. So, and apparently they have, if you go to dearmoon.earth, they have the Twitter account, the Instagram account, for both the Dear Moon Project and for Yusaku Maezawa. They have his personal Twitter and Instagram on there as well. So if you want to follow our new BFR passenger, you can go over to dearmoon.earth to go see his Twitter and Instagram handles. What else did we learn? I think they said, I jotted this down because I saw it in the comments. I think I missed it while I was listening, but I think they said that he's the same person that was supposed to ride on Falcon Heavy. So I think it's the same. I think they said that during the broadcast. I think I either saw it in the comments or maybe on my Twitter feed as I was listening. I was trying to multitask. I'm like researching this guy and reading the Twitter updates from Twitter and reporters and listening and all that. So I'm pretty sure though somebody said that it's the same person that was supposed to be on Falcon Heavy. So let's see, we've got the cargo interchange, the vacuum nozzles, and yeah, so we learned a lot today. So What else do we? What else are the commenters here saying? Great coverage and topics. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Johnny on Periscope. Appreciate you tuning in here. Let's see. How do you keep the payload warm at 100,000 feet? Oh, I'm assuming he's talking about our weather balloon payloads. Our weather balloon payloads, which watch the video that comes out on Wednesday, you'll see that. But our weather balloon payloads the computers are inside a styrofoam cooler, and we actually don't do anything else. The computer and the cameras generate their own heat just by being turned on. A lot of people try to throw hand warmers or stuff like that. It's not necessary. Don't do it. You can, as long as you have batteries that are rated for the temperature that you're going to be in, you don't need hand warmers or extra warmth or anything like that. We've sent our micro payload flies just the complete bare circuit board, no thermal protection whatsoever, completely exposed, and it does just fine. So you don't need to protect it from the cold. Don't need to keep it warm. Our payload actually stays pretty warm. The Space Lobster flight got to like -50, and it was still 75 degrees inside the payload, which is kind of crazy. But don't need extra heat. Let's see. Sebi Time Waster said on his first rocket flight, he will clap when it lands, and he doesn't care what people think. In reference to people clapping when an airplane lands, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Canton Man, thank you for the answers. No hand warmer. Yeah, for sure. No hand warmers. Don't need them. And fun fact, most hand warmers don't work in the upper atmosphere. Most hand warmers require oxygen. They're a chemical reaction that requires oxygen. So they get warm on the ground, but as soon as you get a couple thousand feet in the air, they don't have enough oxygen and the hand warmer stops working. So a lot of times those hand warmers are pretty pointless. Same thing, same reason why some people try to cushion their things and they put in like bubble wrap and think that when their weather balloon payload lands that the bubble wrap will keep it safe. The bubbles break before it even lands. As it rises in the atmosphere, the bubbles break. So some fun facts about weather balloons. Let's see. Jack says, I think this is a great project. Artists, not just some businessman. Artists can inspire everyone, especially young generations. I got to agree with you, Jack. I totally expected it to just be some random business person and they'd just be like, here he is. And then they were going to tell us about BFR and BFS and just be done with it. But I really like that they've turned it into an inspirational piece. That's probably the biggest thing that I like out of this whole thing is that they turned it into an inspirational platform, that it's not just like, hey, this guy's going to go around the moon and he paid us a bunch of money. Yahoo. They're turning it into an inspirational piece where they get artists that are going to try to capture this and take them along with it. I love that he's inviting people along with it. I mean, he paid all this money. He could easily just be like, this is my ride. Nobody's coming. But he paid all this money and he's like, yeah, I'm going to bring artists with me. Or he could have just paid it and been like, I'm going to bring all my best friends. Or I'm going to try to get reimbursement for my billionaire friends or stuff like that. But he's not doing that. He's bringing other artists along with him. They're trying to create an inspirational platform on it. They've got this whole website and they're going to, get all these marketing materials and stuff to go along with it. I think it's great. I think that's awesome. That's something that I personally try to do, is just inspire people to do more with technology, to experiment with stuff, tinker with stuff, make things. And so, I hope that I'm sure their stuff will inspire people, and I really hope it does. So, let's see. That's an interesting fact about hand warmers. Didn't know that one. Yep, the hand warmers don't really work in the upper atmosphere. It would take a non-American to think of sending all kinds of media artists. Send Jim Lovell. He's a pro at not landing on the moon. Oh, Mike, that's a low blow to Jim Lovell. Oh, man, don't hate on Jim Lovell. That's a low blow. Jim Lovell, the Apollo 8 astronaut and Apollo 13 astronaut, supposed to land on the moon on Apollo 13. Didn't get the chance, just gave it the old flyby. Let's see. Imagine a film director is on board and shoots footage that he can include on a movie about this trip. That would be inspirational. I think that would be awesome. Having a film director up there that could take cameras and know how to compile it after the fact and put together some sort of inspirational piece, whether it's a movie or a documentary or something. I mean, I don't watch a ton of documentaries. I like some stuff. I watch some like old World War II documentaries or even some space documentaries, things like that. But you get somebody that went on a moon mission that puts out a documentary, I'm there. Let's see. You the man, space ice cream for you. Good night. Thanks, Canton Man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to wrap up here shortly. We've been going for a long time, but let's see what else we got. Matt Gixer says, you inspire me every day. Troy. Well, it's Tori, but thank you. Appreciate that. That's what I try. I try my best. So send Michael Bay with firecrackers. Yeah, well, I think this, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm amped up. I think this was a lot of fun to do this today. It was a long broadcast, but I think we're on the way. We're making progress here. So hopefully it goes according to plan and we can see this mission go off in 2023. I think that would be fantastic. But who knows if that timeline will stick. So is there popcorn on the moon? No, I don't think there's popcorn. Well, if you bring it, there'd be popcorn on the moon. Baxter wants to know, how do we survive the radiation belt? Well, we've already done it once. We survived it, multiple times, survived the radiation belts. But you need a little bit of shielding, and you also need to go through the thinnest part of the radiation belt quickly. That's how you survive getting through the Van Allen radiation belts. Through the thin part, really fast, put some shielding on the spacecraft. You'll get some radiation. You will receive a dose of radiation, but no more than an MRI or a CAT scan or something like that. You get a little bit of radiation, but you go through it fast, through the thin part, a little bit of shielding on the spacecraft, you'll be fine. The bigger concern, actually, is how do you make sure that the computers are protected from radiation? And SpaceX does that. Actually, so interestingly enough, they do it with three redundant computer systems, but they are not radiation hardened computers. They're actually just your everyday average computer parts. And they have those three computers for redundancy so that if any one of them gets a cosmic ray strike and flips a bit or something, then the other two will check it and automatically restart the one that's wrong and say, hey, buddy, you need a timeout. Take a second, get yourself together. But that's how they keep some of the costs low, is by using regular computer parts. They don't have to do anything crazy special for hardening against cosmic rays or things like that. So there's another interesting computer fact about SpaceX and their Falcon 9 computers. Let's see, are they just landing, or they need spacesuits? No, there's no landing for this moon mission. They're just going to go by the moon. They're going to fly around the moon. No landing. Well, they'll land back on Earth, but they're not going to land on the moon. Not yet. At some point, the BFS is capable of landing on the moon, or will be capable of landing on the moon. Will be capable of landing on Mars and Venus and Jupiter's moons. But this mission, no moon landing, just a flyby. And they did. I wonder if I could pull it up here real quickly. They had. See if we can go back. I don't remember where it was in the broadcast. It was pretty early on, I think. I want to see if I can find it real quick, but they did throw up. They threw up a graphic that showed. Let's see. Let me go back here real quick. See if I can find it before we end this. There it is. Found it. All right, here's what I was looking for. I'll show you real quick. So this was the graphic that they threw up to show the what this mission is going to actually do. So it'll be launch. We'll go into a parking orbit. We'll do a translunar injection. Do some mid-course corrections. Lap around the moon. Looks like half a lap around the moon. Kind of looks like a free return trajectory. So they'll just lap around the moon. Not even going to orbit. They're not going to get into a full orbit around the moon. They're just going to do basically free return trajectory, let the moon's gravity slingshot them back around, back towards the Earth, and then they'll do some mid-course corrections, and then bring it in for a landing. So that's the mission. So yeah, launch, booster separation, park orbit insertion, translunar injection, lunar flyby, Paralune, which is the closest approach to the moon, Earthrise, and the lunar flyby, entry interface, landing burn, and landing vertically. Vertical landing. So there it is. Shusakan says it's like the shuttle. Okay, I think a little. I don't know. I mean, it's got a little bit of design similarity just in appearance to the shuttle, but it's not going to do a horizontal landing like the shuttle. It's going to do a vertical landing. So vertical landing like Falcon 9 does, not a horizontal landing like the shuttle. So is there such thing as solar chargers? Wonder why they didn't think of that for the car with the camera. Would have been kind of cool if they could have kept power on the camera for even longer. But yeah, I think it was all, I don't think they wanted to spend a ton of money on the camera and the Tesla in space, because it was just a test after all. But there we go. Thanks for the info, says Dave Nally. Dave Nally, no, it's not. I think he's talking about like the shuttle. Yeah, not. We were talking about my question. I don't know what my question is for that. Is the crew capsule for the, what was your question? I don't know what your question is. The crew capsule for the BFS the same as the Dragon? No, I don't believe so. Oh, I got you. If Chusakan is talking about the shuttle is the crew cabin. I see what he's saying. Yeah, I mean the crew cabin, the only one that I've seen for the crew cab. Oh, something actually. Well, hold on. I do have one other thing I was going to say. Where's my graphic? How come I can't see? Oh wait, that's the wrong thing. We want this one, and I want to show you. What do I want to show you? This is the one we were looking for. So. Somebody was asking about crew cab. This was the last design that we saw, and here I guess I can get myself out of the way here. But this was the last. This is the last kind of split design that you saw, and the payload compartment and crew compartment is towards the front there. The BFR is capable of holding 100 people. 100 people. That's a lot of people. So just keep that in mind with how huge the BFR is intended to be. Because there's supposed to be a lot of people there. But anyway, so I got excited there for a second because I did want to say one thing. Everybody freaked out when he said that they were going to land or launch the BFR from a floating platform. That's actually not new. He's actually been talking about doing that for a long time, and this is one of the renderings that I prepared as part of the broadcast. This is that floating platform that they had talked about. We talked about it earlier in the broadcast, but he talked about they might be launching the BFR from a floating platform. Something they've actually been talking about for a long time, and this is actually a very old rendering of the floating platform. This has been around for a couple of years now, or maybe 1 year, but floating platform is something they've been talking about for a long time for launch and landing of the BFR. And that way they can store fuel on the platform, they can land, they could swap out a boost, put another booster on it and launch it again without having to bother population areas with sound and the whole rocket might blow up danger kind of thing. So I did want to say that because I saw when he mentioned it during the webcast, I saw like comments flying by. They were like, "What? Floating platform?" Actually, it's a concept that he's been talking about for a long time. So yeah, Elon said the extra fins were for aesthetics. The Tintin rocket is cool. Just the one extra fin is for aesthetics. Just the fin on top. So if we pull up the graphic that they put out here, just the fin on top is for aesthetics. That one, the fin on top has no aerodynamic purpose to it. All it is just basically a big landing leg, a pretty landing leg with a landing pad on it. So just the one on top is aesthetic. It's shaped that way for aesthetics. It has a function. It's a landing leg / landing pad. So it does have a purpose, but the only reason that it looks like a fin and not just an industrial landing leg is for aesthetics, right? The other two actually have a purpose. Those are actuated fins that are control surfaces. Let's see, do I have a better look at that? Yeah, so these, you don't see my mouse pointer, but yeah, the fins on the side, the gray ones there are actuated. They can actually move to help control it. The white one on top, no purpose other than just for landing. Yusaku, the BFR airline replacement types, that's the earth-to-earth flights. We're talking about the floating platform to minimize risk and noise. Yes, they were talking about that, the platforms for the earth-to-earth, flights. But Elon mentioned that they may use it just for regular orbital flights too, so. Dave said, I thought originally it only needed one fin. Yes, originally they did only have one fin on it. Do I have a graphic for that? Yeah, so originally, in the original design, they did only have one delta wing on it. So this was one of the original designs here that only had one delta wing. The new design that they've come out now has 3 fins, 2 actuated fins, on the sides, and then the one on top that is just stationary is just the landing leg. So JT wants to know, would I want to live on Mars? I don't know if I'd want to live on Mars. I think it might be cool to take a trip there. I don't know if I'd want to live there. I got too many things I like here. Maybe in 100 years or so, if I'm still around and they've built it up, maybe I'll live there maybe I'll spend a summer there. Let's see. Huge weight for adjusting huge loads. Yes, he did talk about that it took a huge amount of energy to make those actuated fins adjust. What else did we see? One fin seems technically a much better idea to me. Well, I'm guessing, pure speculation, but I'm guessing they went, well, we're going to need 2 fins for control. And then they went, well, we're gonna need something for landing legs too, so why don't we just put 3 on? So there you go. Alex Ziggyful, please like this video. Thanks, Alex Ziggyful. Yeah, thumbs up the video. Send over some Periscope hearts if you're watching there. Appreciate everybody tuning in here. I know it's getting late, and I said I'm gonna wrap up 100 times here now, but we are gonna wrap up here shortly. Let's see. Oh, we got some some flat earthers that have joined the Periscope conversation, so that could be fun. I think we pretty much covered all the comments. How will they prevent the solar panels from getting torn off or burned up when leaving and entering the atmosphere? Well, I don't know. So they've talked about having solar panels just in the top section, like where those windows are. I think those are supposed to be solar panels. Some of the really early designs, like the pre-BFR design, had solar panels that actually kind of came out to the side, and those were like embedded into the rocket, and then just they were pushed out the side, or extended. That's the word I'm looking for. Jeez, big word. They were extended when they got out of the atmosphere. But I'm assuming that those, if some of those windows there are solar panels, then they'd be protected so they don't just rip off. So I think either that, or they're going to be retracted back into the body. So, all right, folks. Well, we've gone for a long time. It's actually been almost 3 hours we've been streaming for. That's crazy. We haven't done a stream, a SpaceX type stream that long since Falcon Heavy. We did do a Kerbal stream yesterday. It was about 3 hours, but not what I didn't really talk that much during that. I was just playing games. Yeah, I think we're gonna I think we're going to wrap things up here because we covered a lot. We learned about our new MZ, Maezawa. I've just combined his name. Sorry. Yusaku Maezawa is our new BFR astronaut that is going on a trip around the moon in 2023. That's the idea, at least. So, when is the next KSP stream? It's a good idea, or good question, Gaming Freak. I don't know. I tend to do those KSP streams. It's usually when I'm sitting around and I'm like, well, I don't have anything to do. Let's play Kerbal. So I don't know when the next KSP stream will be. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then and hit the little notification bell, then you should get notified. Or if you like Twitch better, I do stream on Twitch. I don't have any followers on Twitch, so it's OLHCN on Twitch. If you got a Twitch account, somebody follow me because I have like 1 follower on Twitch. I don't do Twitch a lot, but I've just recently started streaming on Twitch. I've always streamed on Facebook and YouTube and done a lot of Periscope recently. Twitch is very new to me with the Kerbal stuff. So I don't have any Twitch fans. If you want to be like the first Twitch fan, go subscribe to OLHCN on Twitch if you're into that thing. So, all right, everybody's going to bed. I'm with you. I'm going to bed as well. We've had a long night of streaming, 2 hours and 55 minutes. Yikes. It's a long one today. But I appreciate you guys all stuck around for the long haul, and I really appreciate that. So we will. Oh, they said link it. Link my Twitch account. All right, I can try to do that and type at the same or talk and type www.twitch.tv/OLHZN. Right? I think that's it. So there you go. There's my link to the Twitch on the YouTube comments. So, all right, everybody. I think I'm going to wrap this up now. We've had some fun time, so I'm going to throw in my card there so you know who I am, because I'm Tori, and this is Overlook Horizon, and all our Space Lobster fans here have hung out with us for the long time. So farewell for now. Thanks for joining us. We got a lot of excitement going into the space flight industry over the next couple of years, and I'm excited to cover them all as much as I can, at least, and have you guys along with a ride. So, all right, that's it for me, everybody. Thanks very much. I'm Tori. This is Overlook Horizon, and we'll see you guys all next time. Thanks very much. See ya.